Hey everyone, it's Jan Hemstad here. I'm in beautiful Central Park, Huntington Beach, California, and I'm gonna talk today about hyperfocal distance. I'm gonna need to go somewhere a little more open than this to do that. See you in a second. So today's quick tip is going to be about hyperfocal distance, which is the closest possible focus distance where you get that close distance in acceptable focus as well as infinity, all the way out there, is also acceptably sharp, resulting in what's called deep focus. And what that means is everything back, even if I'm here, I still will be acceptably in focus. Acceptable is kind of a key word here because it has to do with the circles of confusion, which I'll explain briefly. Basically, a single point of light coming into your lens, how big it can possibly be on your actual individual pixels on your camera sensor without going out of focus. For instance, if it overlaps 2 pixels, suddenly that point of light is out of focus, versus if that circle only covers 1 pixel, your image will be in focus. So there's a couple different ways to do this. You can actually do the calculations, or you could pull your camera to infinity and then pull it back until the farthest objects start to go out of focus, and then wind it back a little bit, and kind of that would be roughly wherever your hyperfocal distance for your given lens, because every lens has a different hyperfocal distance. In terms of calculating it, the equation for the hyperfocal distance is your focal length in millimeters squared divided by the circle of confusion limit times the f number that your camera lens is set at. And then you can also, if you want to be extra precise, you have to add the actual millimeter of the lens back into that number, and that would get you exact. But most people don't do that because it's the difference between usually like a few millimeters, which is like nothing. But you can if you want to be super precise. So I just did this the manual way, looking at what's the focus in infinity and then rolling it back, which got me to about 5 feet for my camera, which is where I'm at right now. But let's do the calculation. This I'm shooting on a 20 millimeter, so let's go ahead and quickly run our numbers. iPhone 4S, not sponsored by Apple. I just have a really old, tiny phone. 20 millimeters squared, so times 20 millimeters, that's 400. So now let's calculate the number we need to divide this by, which is going to be our circle of confusion numbers. And for what I'm using, which is roughly a 35 millimeter chip in my camera, it's about 0.03 millimeters in terms of size, which is quite small. But you can find charts for anything from APS-C, and I'll link a chart below just so you can easily find somewhere to access those numbers. So let's go ahead and calculate this. 0.03, our circle of confusion limit. We need to multiply that by our f number, which is 8, and that gets us 0.24 divided by 0.24 gets us roughly 1.6 meters, which equates roughly to 5.5 feet, which is about where I am according to the focus distance on my lens. The math works, you can trust the math. Take a look at that equation. The longer the lens that you have, the farther away your hyperfocal distance will be from your camera. That's how you calculate hyperfocal distance. So some of you might be asking what this is good for, and it's great for landscape photography, especially where you have a subject in the foreground, and it gives you a sense of like really open space. You'll see Citizen Kane was one of the first movies to use this technique extensively. It's also used to do forced perspectives. So I hope you enjoyed this little quick tip on hyperfocal distance. If you want to see more stuff like this, go check out my channel, like and subscribe, hit that notification button if you want to get notified when a new video drops. I'm going to try to do these more frequently, hopefully once a week. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.